everybody. It's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and today we are doing the last Friday the 13th movie, which, God, I'm so glad.
But now you have to rank everything, Safi.
Well,
because you
it's
also
better
have...
than having to watch any of those movies again.
Really?
I mean, even if a few of them I liked that were okay, and they were passable, I'm just not in the mood to watch anymore. It's just like last year we watched all the Halloween movies. I couldn't watch any of those. We used to watch the first one every year when we carved pumpkins. It was like a tradition. I don't think I could watch that movie. I'd rather watch something new.
Like what? The Exorcist?
No.
The Exorcist
something new to me. How about that?
You've Got Mail?
Halloween movie.
Well, it is pretty scary how bad it is.
That one?
And the movie that I pitched, instead of You've Got Mail, I pitched a new movie called You Got Raped. And it was a rape revenge movie.
That is so awful. I can't believe you would do something like that.
It was really funny.
Horrible. And the rape isn't funny. That's an act of violence on a human being. God bless it.
It was a rape. No. It was a rape revenge movie because at the end of You've Got Mail, the main character destroys the love interest's business, and then she forgives him, and she finds out that he's her secret admirer, and she says, I wanted it to be you. And I just said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, he ruined her business and then she wanted it to be him. Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So I thought it'd be pretty funny if you made a rape revenge movie where you had the same thing happen. She's like, I wanted it to be you at the end.
God.
What do you think of that?
Could have done something better, not that.
Why?
It just sounds
That'd be
dumb.
funny.
Okay.
Why?
Let's just move on.
Well, it's fun, right?
No.
You like that movie?
No.
You Got Raped instead of You've Got Mail.
No, Marco, I don't.
Why not?
I think it's terrible. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I said, let's move on.
Well, okay, it's just that this movie, this movie's basically like been there, done that. Like we've already basically talked about this movie like 12 times, right? Because it's another Friday the 13th movie.
There were a few different things about it.
Really?
That weren't in any of the other ones.
Like what?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, this is a remake of Friday the 13th. So basically, it's a remake of the first one. So, again, there's no camping. No campers, I mean. And everybody gets killed except 2 people, which I'm shocked that it was a guy and a girl, but they were related. They were brother and sister. That's different.
No, it's not. They did that in part 4, remember? You had Tommy and his sister.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, these are... Yeah.
Beat that.
All right, well, that wasn't the different thing anyway that I was thinking about. But, you have, people coming out to the woods, and they're there expressly to find, and how they found out about it, I don't know, but there's a patch of weed, marijuana, growing in the forest somewhere, and somehow they got a line on that. They know about it, and they're going to harvest it and take it with them. I think that's the only reason why they're there. And let's see.
Well, we should say in the opening credits, they go through the first movie in like a minute or less, where you have this, and it's so funny because the girl that they've got to play the final girl at the opening minute of the movie, she's basically like exactly like Alice, and that she just had no character at all. She's just this bland, boring character who she's the final girl, And so then she kills Jason's mom. And I gotta say, the Jason's mom actress, she was terrible.
No,
like,
she wasn't any good. Betsy Palmer was so much better.
They really should have, like, if they were gonna so intent on including this, they should have gotten a better actress.
Couldn't they have just replayed the first one?
No, because that was set in the 80s or whatever, and, you know, this is set in the 2000s, so they can't, or whatever, so they can't do that. Like, they have to update it, and...
Oh.
So I did not like the opening credit sequence. I felt like already this movie is not good, and it's too bad because before this movie came out, the Comic-Con trailer, the Comic-Con footage that they showed to tease this movie, it made the movie look like a masterpiece. I mean, it was really a great trailer, and it made me like really excited. Like, I was like, look, I'm not really a fan of this franchise, but even I'm excited. It looked like it was that good, and it looked like it was going to be like the best remake ever. And then it came out, and like just based on this opening credits sequence alone, I was like, ew. You know, that opening credits sequence, it was so generic and random, and it was not a good start. And it's the whole, like, foundation for the movie, so that's pretty bad. Safi?
Well, I had forgotten all about that.
Oh, really?
It's just too bad that they couldn't just use the original one. I don't know how you would do that, but I guess it's two different companies or something. I don't know, but I mean, there isn't anything that dates it, is there, to that time? Because they're wearing things that people wear now.
Well, the thing is that one of the biggest problems with this movie is the people who made it, because the people who made it, they were making remakes right and left, and they were the ones who made the Texas Chainsaw remake and the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I think also the House of Wax remake, like that. They specialized in that, and part of what they did was they made all the remakes look the same. They all had to look like this ugly color where they kind of suck the color out of the movie, and they just make it look really like, almost like the movie was dunked in a dirty toilet. Like the whole movie looks like the opening of Jason Goes to Hell in that gross bathroom. And then
that is weird because
what?
They I think that was Jason's house or whatever. There was all these vintage objects.
Oh yeah.
And vintage objects, like I've said, are colorful.
Yeah.
In many
ways. They weren't
every
colorful.
Single one, but all of these were. They should have been.
They weren't really that colorful though. Like all the color was sucked out of them from the emo editor.
Yeah.
And all the actors, you know, all the people in this movie, for the most part, they all had to look really pretty and nice. They had to look like pretty people.
Yeah, they were
like,
were all pretty people.
Perfect little pretty people. And then you had the stereotypes. You had
the African American boy.
No, not him. Not the main
not
people.
The first
I'm
couple.
talking
Not
about.
The first group.
No,
okay.
Safi, just let me finish.
Okay.
I'm talking about like the redneck in the forest. And that one woman living in the middle of the forest, and like they had a couple of like quote unquote normal looking people, but they were just like stereotypes. They were completely like one dimensional trash characters, especially the redneck who I really hated that character.
He was not very good at all.
He was terrible.
Ugh.
And he was honestly the worst character in the movie. Especially for the fact that, spoiler alert, Jason gets his mask from this redneck. Like,
yep.
Ugh.
Yep, I remember.
Ugh. That is a low point for the franchise. Like, the perverted redneck is who Jason gets his mask from in the remake. Like, wow.
Ow.
Good job. That's very clever because it's realistic.
Nah.
So, go ahead, Safi. Talk about the opening. Let's go through this movie and
Okay, well,
really go through
these
it.
are the people. This is the people looking for... No, wait a minute. No, this was the second group of people then.
Well, no, let's talk about the weed people first, because I felt like the opening 20 minutes was pretty good, but it kind of felt like the whole thing was the hologram in Jason X.
Well,
right?
But
Is that what you felt?
I was confused about what the time period was. Except
Why?
that they had things with them that you wouldn't have had back then, like a GPS locator, and which they were using to look for the pot, and cell phones maybe. I don't remember.
They had cell phones in the rest of the movie, so.
Yeah, but they had this GPS locator, and so somehow, you have the one boy, and he looks for the pot, and of course Jason's there. Jason kills him. Okay, number one. Then you have a couple there, and they're in the tent, and they're having sex.
Which I will say too, I really appreciated all the nudity in this movie, because this movie came out in 2009. And so, like, even in 2009, they weren't ruining horror movies yet with the whole, like, oh, we can't have nudity anymore because if we have it, we have to have special people around to supervise it happening. The fake sex scenes on screen. Like, what a pathetic bunch of pieces of shit. But at least the people who made this movie, they had some balls. So they were like, let's put... Because I think, like, this had the most nudity and sex scenes out of any of the movies of the series.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I wasn't talking about that either for weird things, but I guess you're right.
Well, it's a good thing, because, like, at least one movie has it, like, in 2009, like, then you have all these other crappy movies, and they're too afraid to.
Okay, then you have, so they're in the tent, they're having sex. Well, they hear this noise, and they think the boy who went looking for the pot, they think he's spying on them. And so, of course, the guy goes out there, and he gets killed. And then the girl in the tent gets killed. Okay, next, then we have a couple who is walking around, and they go to the campground, I guess, the old campground, and they go into the house.
They go into Jason's cabin, and this was, like, one of my favorite parts of the movie, and the part that they showed in the footage, because it was so gross and so creepy, the way that, like, the mom's head was inside this little hole in the wall, and at one point he grabs the head, and it's so gross, and he drops it in, like, this dirty bathtub, and it's, like, filled with water that, like, Jason probably bathes in it every day or something, and he never changes the water, or maybe he does.
God.
Well, it looked really gross, and then, of course, the boyfriend, he starts getting grabbed from underneath the floor, and that, I thought that was so creepy, and it was so cool, and then he gets fucking killed. And then the girl...
We think she gets killed.
She runs away back to the camp, and she finds the other guy in a bear trap. And another thing I loved about this movie was that Jason trapped people. Jason in this movie was perfection. I mean, this might be my favorite Jason. The guy who played Jason in this movie... You remember the Twin Peaks The Return with the arm wrestling scene, Safi?
Yeah.
Well, the bald guy, the arm wrestling guy, that's Jason in this movie. And he's perfect. He's really, really perfect. He's probably the best Jason ever. And he got really fucked over, though, since, they're not going to make a sequel to that remake. And then he did this Swamp Thing series for DC, and then they fucked him over with that, where I guess he did a really good job in that, but then they canceled it. And so, he gets fucked over a lot, but he's a really good actor. It's really unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, did you like him as Jason in this movie?
Yeah, I thought he was good. At least he didn't just stand there.
Oh, yeah. Like the one from last movie.
Yeah.
The dummy Jason.
So anyway, this girl comes back and she finds the one guy, and he ends up getting killed. And then the girl was killed, but somehow...
No, she's not.
The girl in the tent?
Oh, well, the girl in the tent, one of my favorite kills of the movie, he puts her in a sleeping bag and then sets her on fire while she's still alive, and I thought that was cool. And he makes the boyfriend watch, too. Like, see, Jason in this movie, he was on another level.
Well, he's more deliberative or whatever. And so I believe they get killed, and this girl who was left, and I didn't know this. Did you know this? We maybe knew it from the trailer. That Jason takes her captive.
No, they didn't show that in the trailer.
They didn't show it there. I don't remember him doing it in the movie either.
Well, they show this awesome shot where, you know, if you don't know, a lot of people got pissed off because a lot of people, for some reason, some really weird reason, they don't want Jason to run. They want Jason to walk like Michael Myers and Kane Hodder like to do. But this Jason, he's probably the fastest serial killer in movie history because, like, he runs, like, at the speed of light in this movie, and it is really frightening. Like, when the people are running away from him and he's just running at them at, like, 10 miles an hour, he's really scary. And he can run, and he runs right at the girl and fucking lowers his machete at her like he's gonna slice her open, and boom.
So we just assume that she gets killed.
That was awesome.
He kills everybody.
Yeah.
But guess what? He takes her captive
and
with manacles at her wrists.
That was really weird.
That is different.
It's an idea.
We don't know why.
Yeah, and it's a sliver of an idea. But they don't go into why, you know, because he can't talk.
And they don't show it either. We don't see it until, what would you say, near the 3/4 of the way through?
I don't know. Like, well, another thing is, like, we don't even see, like, where does she go to the bathroom, number one? Because she didn't look that dirty or gritty when we saw her either. Like, it looks like she had a couple of baths once in a while. I mean, keep in mind, she was captive for 6 months. So that's 6 months that she should have looked like someone else, you know, a lot different. And also, like, what did he feed her? Because she did not look like she lost any weight at all. So there were a lot of, like, questions with this movie of, like, it seemed like they had a couple little ideas, but they were too afraid to explore them. Like,
I think they should have explored that one because he never does that.
No, like, why this girl? I mean, she is really average and not really.
Maybe she looked like one of his family.
Well, they could have done that, and that would have been interesting. But no, they don't do that.
I don't know. So anyway, but we don't know this. So fast forward 6 months later. We have Jared Padalecki, or whatever his name is, from Supernatural?
Yeah.
The taller guy from Supernatural. He's looking for her because that's his sister. So he has these posters of her, and he comes to the area on his motorcycle, and he patches them up all over the place. And then we also have, of course, another group of kids, kind of adults, really. They're not children. They're adult. They're probably in their 20s. And they're there. One of them apparently owns a house there, a cabin. His parents, his dad. And so they all head for that. And then, of course, before they go there, they have to stop and get supplies at the store. And
there are some really
Jared's there.
And there are some really cringeworthy jokes in this movie. You know, I'm not gonna say them, a lot of them out loud, because, you know, Safi is in here. But like one of them is like, ugh. The best character in the movie, in my opinion, is Trent, and he is like this complete douchebag, like white privilege type of character. You know, he's like a.
Is he the one who owns the cabin?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And he is the worst, like, piece of shit on the planet.
Jerk.
And but he's so good. Like, he's such a good actor. You know,
good at being a jerk.
Well, no, he was on a Malcolm in the Middle episode when he was young, and he did a really good job in that at being like kind of a nice guy, but another kind of jerkish character. And in this movie, you know, he's the worst. And he's amazing, though. But he asks the black guy to pump the gas at the gas station. And keep in mind, I don't know any of the other characters except for him, except for Trent, because that was how good Trent was in this movie.
Well, they mention him like one time.
Yeah.
And you
the
know,
names.
And there's no way you get this whole slew of people coming in, and they all get killed.
Yeah, they all get killed.
Slew of people.
And
so you can't it's hard to keep track. So we just make up things about them, like actually he was a martial artist.
You get like
apparently.
And you get like 2 seconds to learn their names.
Or the
in these
African
movies.
American guy was the martial artist.
Well, and so the black guy, he says like, "Oh, just because you ask the only black guy in the group to pump the gas," like some really bizarre joke. Like, I didn't get that at all. Like, is there some sort of racist stereotype around black people pumping people's gas? Like, I didn't get that. Like, that was so bizarre. And there were lots of jokes like that in this movie. And there was another one where someone made like a noise or something, like when they were talking about something really serious. Like, you remember that, Safi?
Mm-mm.
I don't know, but there were some really weird jokes in this movie that, you know, you could tell that the people who wrote this movie, that they're like frat boy types with the kinds of jokes that they wrote. Like, just only jokes that like weirdo like frat boys would like, or something. Like really cringy jokes.
So let's just say who was there. You have okay, just forget about Jared for a minute. Just this group, okay? You have the boy who owns the house, his family actually, the cabin in the woods.
Speak up, Safi.
Then you have his girlfriend, who's very familiar. She's been in a lot of commercials.
Really?
Or something. Yeah, she looks really familiar.
Do you like seeing her
she
in commercials?
Brown hair. Then you have a couple of blonde girls and another blonde boy. So one of the blonde girls and the blonde boy, they're a couple. And then the other blonde girl, she's kind of free.
She's just a whore,
yeah,
you know.
And then there's an Asian boy.
And that is the guy from Disturbia. And that was another thing that was disappointing to me about this movie, was that his character sucked. And I was really disappointed, you know. After Disturbia, he got, like, roles in these big movies, and then he just disappeared. And it sucks because it's like, they really sabotaged him. Like, in Disturbia, he was really good. And he wasn't, like, a stereotype or anything. And then after that, it's like he didn't get any good roles. What do you think, Safi?
I don't know. I didn't recognize him.
Why not?
I don't know.
Because you're racist?
Oh, for heaven's sake. Because I don't recognize somebody?
Towards Disturbia? Are you...
No, I like Disturbia.
Are you Disturbia-ist?
I haven't seen it in a while. So, you have that group of people. Then you have Jared. Of course, the guy who owns a cabin, he doesn't like Jared. He's jealous of him, obviously. And his girlfriend is nice to him, and he doesn't like it that his girlfriend's nice to him. But what's hilarious, at the cabin later on, he has sex with the blonde girl.
Yeah.
And
the whore.
Here comes his girlfriend, who's knocking feverishly at the door because they notice that this Jason guy
is coming for them.
Is coming for all of them. But before they even begin the time there, all the kids, whatever they are, they're gathered in the living room, and somebody, was that when the guy told them about Jason?
Well, I don't know, Safi. You can't just go through every little thing in the movie.
No, you can't. Well, anyway, I don't know. I think that might have been the weed guy in the first group.
Yeah,
so that's why I say you just have a group and you have another group, and they all get killed. It gets a little confusing.
Not really, not to me.
So anyway, the first thing that happens is the girl and the guy that are a couple. They go, and guess what? This boy who owns the cabin, they have a nice boat, too. And one thing, I've never seen this before at this Crystal Lake place. I've never seen anybody water skiing. And so she water skis while he drives the boat. Topless, of course. She's water skiing.
So what?
Well, that's just...
Are you criticizing that?
Oh no! Just the fact she's water skiing, I thought that was cool. And so guess what? Jason's out in the woods, and what does he do? He has a bow and arrow. Where did he get that? I've never seen him shoot a bow and arrow. Maybe
he knows. He knows how to do that too, because he's practiced his camping skills.
Yeah, so he shoots the guy who's driving the boat in the head.
That was awesome.
And then
the girl goes underneath the dock, and he just stabs her through the dock. Like he doesn't even need to like pull her out or anything. He just stabs her through the boards in the dock. Like I thought that was a great kill, because like she didn't even scream, like because he fucked her up real good.
So what's next? Okay, we go back to the cabin.
And Safi's just going to go through everything in the movie.
Okay, well, I won't say anything else. You can go next then.
Well, no, like, give a review of the movie.
Well,
talk about stuff that you liked and stuff that you didn't like.
And I don't want to talk about the girl who's captive yet. This Jared is looking for his sister. She is the sister. And
I don't like Jared. I don't like him in this movie. I don't like him at all. He just screams like stunt casting.
He's okay. I don't know.
Let's put him in the new Friday the 13th movie because Supernatural is really hot right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's like what it's like.
I didn't even watch it really. I think I watched a couple of episodes.
I watched one episode and I turned it off.
There were a lot of.
Like
they had
fuck
a lot
that
of seasons
shit.
Too, so.
I was like, fuck that shit. I got better things to watch.
I think they did something like Grimm too. They did a what do you call it, where they sing and dance.
They also did a Scooby-Doo episode, and I was kind of in the middle about like maybe watching that, but I didn't because I don't care.
So
Supernatural.
Anyway, here he is now. Going all over asking like these weird people that Marco just talked about. The lady in the woods, random woman, wants to know if she's seen her, and of course she says, well, if anybody's lost in these woods, they're dead, which probably she's right. And then of course the guy that Marco doesn't like, he thinks he's the worst, and that's that country boy, and who he offers to give him pot or something. He asks and then of course Jason kills him.
Now up until this point, Jason wore another potato sack.
Yeah, that was weird. What's going on here?
It looked really, really cool, actually. I thought that the potato sack that Jason had in this movie was actually a lot better than the hockey mask. Like, it was a lot scarier. It was a lot creepier, and I really wish that, like, he had the sack until, like, the last 10 minutes or something. Because I didn't think that he needed the hockey mask except to make people go, ooh, look, it's the hockey mask! Ooh! Because, like, he gets the hockey mask from this redneck guy, and honestly, like, if they were intending on building a universe with this movie series, don't have Jason get his hockey mask from this weird drunk, stoner, pervert, redneck stereotype guy. Like, can you not do that? Please?
Yeah.
Safi?
Yeah.
Speak up.
Yeah.
You act like you have some sort of, like, health problem and you can't, like, do anything anymore in these reviews.
Marco, that's just not true. Stop it. So, anyway, I don't know, the Jared guy, he goes to the house with the kids, and he says, I'm looking for my sister, and of course the boy owns him, he hates him, he's jealous of him, he tells him to get out, and so his girlfriend goes with Jared, and so they go looking for, they go look for his sister, or somebody to talk to about his sister, and of course the boyfriend's having a fit, and they find a little GPS locator in the woods. That was from that previous group who had his sister. And then what happens? Okay, then you have while they're gone, people start getting knocked off. So first you have the Asian guy.
I hope Safi's not going to go through this entire fucking movie.
Say.
Review the fucking movie.
Okay, well these people, they start getting knocked off.
Oh.
And so then
you're still doing it.
So you go back to this house of Jason's, and first they ran over an area where the sister was, and she could hear him, and she's yelling that they can't hear her. And then when they come back...
God, you're still doing it.
Okay, well, I don't know what else to say.
Review the fucking movie.
I don't know what else to say.
Do you think that people who've seen the movie just want to hear, like, some rambling for 50 minutes going through the entire fucking movie?
Okay, well, I'm trying to think what were the other weird things. The water skiing was one. The having the girl captive, which I still can't get over that, was another. The tunnel. Apparently, underneath the house he lives in, and Marco said that it was hard to explain in these movies how Jason happens to pop up everywhere and anywhere.
Well, eventually they just had him be able to teleport, like, with supernatural powers, and, they have that in the video game. But in this movie, it was like they were trying to do something, like, to make it explainable, where it's like, oh no, he built these tunnels somehow.
That was really interesting.
It was interesting, but it wasn't explored at all.
No, not at all.
And it was such a cool idea, it's just too bad that they didn't explore these interesting ideas instead of just making a paint-by-numbers movie that they did. Paint-by-numbers Friday the 13th.
Okay, so everybody gets killed except for there's Jared and this girl. And they're still looking for the sister. They go to the house, and then when they're in the house, they start hearing the sister yelling, and they go to the basement. They find the secret place. They go down there, and then there's these tunnels, and they find her chained up. And then you have all this fighting. Jason shows up, and they're trying to escape him and doing pretty good. And then, unfortunately, the girl from the group, she gets killed. But the sister,
which is sad because she was likable.
Yeah.
Like she was. There really wasn't very many great characters in this movie, like actual characters, but she was one of the likable ones, kind of. Even though, like, she was Trent's girlfriend, and honestly, like, it's really unlikable for anyone to be, like, associated with that guy. Like, why was she his girlfriend at all? Like, they didn't really go together at all, and she didn't really like him, and it was just kind of strange. It's like, what does it say about her character that she's with him?
So they have this complicated process of trying to kill Jason. They both work on it together. At first it looks like he's being hung by a chain, like hung, and then they get him near this grinding machine and stab him and all this, and you think after all that, he has to be dead. And so we get to the end, and of course she's sitting on the dock and he's standing.
But we should also mention the final girl got to stab Jason. She got to stab him with the machete.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it's just like, there's a lot of things about this movie where it just feels like really dumbed down. Like, just all the stereotypes that you'd expect. Like, you have the final girl, you have stoner guys, you have the sex couple. Like, they really dumbed down this movie to just make it like the dumbest version of what it could have been.
I guess so.
Safi,
It just.
do you agree? I mean, what do you have to say?
I kind of liked it better, though, than, like, the original.
Yeah, it was better than the original.
I thought it was more professionally done.
Yeah.
It seemed more streamlined.
And it wasn't boring.
It seemed cleaner.
Was it boring to you?
No, not really. It moved along at a pretty good pace, and then there was all these unusual aspects about it.
Yeah, this was the longest of the series, and it didn't feel like that at all.
No, which means it was
better.
Better, yeah. But of course, what happens at the end? She's sitting on the dock, and he's standing, and Jason pops out of the. Oh yeah, they threw his mask in the lake. She had a locket of his that had pictures of his maybe mother and sister, I don't know, in it, and she threw that in the lake. And anything else?
No.
Like his knife or something?
No.
And then at the very end, he pops up through the dock and grabs her, and then Jared's starting to fight him, and it's just, I mean, like, God, can't anybody get a break from
Well, I disagree. I really like that part because it was a homage to the ending, and it was exactly what I told the people who made the original to do, where I said that, you know, in the ending when Jason grabs the boring final girl, they should have just cut to black, and they did that in this movie, and I thought, wow, good job. That's exactly what you should have done in the original. Good job. You don't need some stupid-ass scene where you have, like, her in a hospital room and the police people are like,
Oh, yeah.
we didn't find any boy at the lake. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, what a stupid fucking scene to end the movie on.
Yeah, I remember.
After, I mean, you should have just cut to black like they did in this movie.
Yeah. So that's it. And like we said, we told you about the unusual things. We told you that it was I thought it was a lot cleaner, moved along better, maybe more sophisticated than the original. Like, the original seemed like it was put together with a toolkit.
Yeah, well, I will say that the music in this movie sucked.
Yeah,
like,
the music wasn't that good.
the music in the original was obviously much better, and I really wish that they would have done better music for this as well, because I think that if you had good music, it would have improved this movie.
Yeah, it enhances it. It helps it. So, what's your food review, Marco?
Well, originally I was going to give this kind of like another kind of pizza type of similar dumbed down review, but then I thought this movie actually deserves something better, because it to me it got better and better as it went along, because it felt like I was like, you know, I don't want this movie to end because it's so entertaining. And it is also, by the way, another movie in the series where the black guy does not die first. So that's another bullshit thing. You know,
one of the last people.
Yeah, one of the last people. It's so funny because in every movie of the series to have a black character in it, none of the black characters are the first people to die. White characters are. So that whole thing was complete bullshit. But anyway, I give this movie, this one time I went to Weber Grill restaurant because there was another restaurant that we were supposed to go to and it wasn't open. Because for some reason it isn't open on Mondays. The weirdest thing. It's not open on weekends or Mondays. And Weber Grill was amazing, and the food there was really, really good. And so I got ribs, because what you could do was you could get like an entree, and then you could get a half a rack of ribs for $5 extra. So I got salmon, green beans, mashed potatoes, and this half a slab of ribs. And I got chocolate cake. And I know you're thinking, like, well, that sounds like a lot. Well, I didn't eat lunch that day on purpose because I was going to do something fun at that other restaurant. So it was kind of like a lunch and dinner combo. And to me, that's what this movie was like. It was like a really nice, like, fun, like, just lots of stuff that you get to eat. And, you know, a lot of it doesn't go together, like, you know, mashed potatoes and salmon. That sounds really weird. But it was so good. It was so delicious. And the chocolate cake was actually the same cake that McAllister's Deli got rid of for no reason. And so I thought it was really cool to just conveniently happen to have that cake again at that restaurant. Safi? Now that you're yawning.
I don't have anything as special as that.
Why?
It sounds really good.
Well,
I just haven't eaten much in the last decade.
The salmon wasn't that good. Like, the salmon had kind of like a farm-raised taste. Like, it had kind of a weird taste, but it was still really good.
I could say we just recently this year they had a little, I don't know what you want to call it, a little get together at our clubhouse, and the food, and we got it for free, and it was great. We didn't have to pay anything. And it was just nice. It was like on a Monday night, or it was like during the week. That was another thing. It was great. And all of the food, it was catered by City Barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
And it's this barbecue place we go to, and even we went to it, Marco and I had our dinner from there last week. And I just get chicken. It's like a chicken breast and a chicken wing together. That's it. That's all I get. And then maybe I'll drink some soda with it. I just had Gatorade. So anyway, what they had was they had all the sides. They had pulled pork, and they had little tiny buns, like slider buns. And then they had macaroni and cheese, and what else? Green beans?
Yeah, green beans.
And what was the other?
Potato salad.
Oh, the potato salad. And I never get the sides. I have tried the sides. I don't usually like them. They're not very good, but these were all cooked perfectly. So if you ever want to get City Barbecue Catering, an event that you have, if you all have a City Barbecue, I can attest to the fact they do a good job.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the sandwiches, I guess if you like to eat bigger sandwiches,
and
like eating sliders.
And I had a problem with that because, we didn't stay there. And maybe if I stayed there to get seconds and or thirds, then I wouldn't have had a problem. But they just had these little tiny slider buns, and so you could not really get like a regular size sandwich portion. And that was a big travesty because, I only had the one plate that I could carry. And so...
Yeah, because we walked back to our apartment, which is... It's a little ways away. It's not across the street.
I just had this little pork slider, and that wasn't really fulfilling. Like, I was hungry after that, and I had to eat like snacks the whole rest of the evening because, that pork sandwich, it wasn't a regular sized portion for me, and because it was a small bun. So I wouldn't give this movie that because I would think about like they needed to have bigger buns.
Well, it was perfect for me, and I really appreciated that we could have it during the week. We didn't have to worry about our dinner. We didn't have to worry about cooking. We didn't have to worry about going out, and we didn't have to worry about paying for it. So I thought that this movie was better than the original. There were a few little surprises in it, which I haven't talked about that lately, but I appreciate surprises. And although they weren't explained, like the tunnel, they didn't really delve into that. And having why he spared that girl, it's still mind-boggling. And a surprise, though. And the water skiing was a fun little surprise.
Maybe he wanted a girlfriend. Oh yeah, and we should also mention after. Okay, just finish your rating and then.
No, that's it. So that's my food review of it. This little meal that we got during the week for free, etc., like I said, and I that was good. I appreciated it. The movie moved along. I didn't get bored, and I like Jared Padalecki or whatever. I mean, he's okay. Some of these actresses are they just make them so shallow.
Well, this guy, he's really
one-dimensional.
Oh, this guy's shallow too. He's really generic.
Well, he just has a lot more experience. Some of these people don't have really any, and you can't really blame them. They don't have any acting experience, so it's hard. They're really good at screaming and taking their clothes off. Well, and that just isn't my idea of somebody who's an excellent actress.
Well,
Sorry.
let's see, what did another girl do? She was let's see.
She's in that. Go back up. Isn't that the cheerleading movie? Oh no, it's a different
one. I've seen that, but that came out the same year as Friday the 13th. Well, it looks like she's been in a lot of Hallmark stuff, and that's pretty hilarious that she got completely naked in this movie and had this huge sex scene, and then she goes on and does Hallmark movies.
Grounded for Christmas?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that one.
She's in some stuff. But anyways, I wanted to mention that, one of the most retarded things about the movie, because they had another idea that Safi didn't even really mention. Jason grows weed in this movie because...
How do you know that Jason's growing that? I thought it was wild.
I don't know. It really seems like they tried to imply that it was Jason Voorhees growing marijuana, and I just... That is really bizarre. Like that.
Well, it wasn't the county guy, because he
said it wasn't, and he discovered it, and
he discovered it. He said that to Jared. So it wasn't his. And remember, the first group of campers, the one that had Jared's sister, they came there expressly to harvest that weed. That's what they were doing there.
Yeah.
That's why they had that little GPS, that little portable GPS that Jared had found in the woods. It was kind of broken. That was why they were there. So I don't know. I never even thought that Jason could grow weed.
I didn't think that, but I really, now that I watched it again, it really seems like it's implied that it's his weed. And that's weird. That's really weird. So I enjoyed this movie. It wasn't bad. It's not as bad as people say, which usually, whenever you get to like remakes, you either have people who really love it or really hate it. There's not a lot of people in between, and we're kind of in between on this movie because it's still not the best of the series. I mean,
no,
not by a long shot.
No. But it was, you know, it was a good movie to finish on.
Oh, I guess so. I mean...
Plus, but we have to do the ranking. Marco's already done his.
Yeah, I did it all along like a smart person.
I got 3 shipments today to do.
But that's just today, like,
yeah,
you know.
That's just today, but it was I wanted to do something else, and that's okay, because I made 3 shipments worth of money. So, I don't know why it's like that. It's like at the end of the week, sometime during the weekend, I'll get several sales, and then it doesn't happen for the rest of the week. Weird. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please become one of our subscribers so you can share your thoughts with us about these movies and anything else you're watching. Do you have anything to recommend? Marco is seeing quite a, he has a lot more time. Well, this is his thing, this channel, more than me, because I have to divide my time on doing other things, but, if you have any movies to suggest or television shows that have to do with, well, horror, except for some reason you decide to watch You've Got Mail, which shocks me.
And I came up with the fantastic remake of You've Got Mail.
No, don't
which
do
is
it.
You've Got Mail.
No, do that. Anyway, so if you have any suggestions for Marco and me, let us know. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.